Hello. Welcome to the Mermaid Tavern. Slàinte Skål, bottoms up. Cheers to you. Hope you're doing well. Uh, it's the Apple Records Fresh from Apple box set that came out in 2010. I bought it at the time it came out, so I've had it all this time. It's a nice set. If you haven't got it, and if you haven't listened to these Apple artists before, of course, many of which are produced by George, and there's lots of history with all the other Beatles. It's great, actually. I loved Apple Records when I was first buying these Apple albums. When I first started collecting the Beatles in like 1978, 79, 80. I was going around to record fairs, and it just intrigued me that Apple label. I think I've said before there was something about it, and but the Beatles had started this record label off. Of course, I was buying all the Beatles, Apple related stuff as well, all their solo albums but there was something about this. It just fascinated me, the whole history of Apple Records and all these bands like Badfinger, of course, which was just a brilliant band, aren't they? But also Mary Hopkin and James Taylor, just some wonderful discoveries here, and some quite strange albums. Like the things that I would never have listened to if I hadn't bought them on Apple there, and of course George's involvement with the Radha Krishna Temple and Ravi Shankar. I've got all the UK Apple albums, the ones that were on the Apple Records sort of. Not the EMI prefix, the Sapcore ones and the Apple, Apple One, Apple Two, all those sort of things. So I'm going to at some point do a talk about that at the tavern about my love of Apple Records over the years. But yeah, let's just talk about this set. I'm sure if you haven't seen it, yeah. So we've got all the Badfinger albums, apart from there was a best of Badfinger, and of course the original Ivy's album. That's not on here. That did come out, didn't it? In 92, 93, was it? When they re-released all the Apple, or not all of them, but a lot of the Apple Records stuff was re-released, remixed. Because these are all remixed as well, and there's extras here too. The Ivy's album did come out, and I've got it actually on a vinyl copy of it from about 1992 or 93, is it? I can't even remember now, but nice sort of gatefold of the Ivies, because the original Ivies album, as you may know, if you know, Apple Records history, only came out in Europe, and it was only a limited release. Then it was, of course, a lot of the tracks ended up being on here, on Magic Christian Music, which was, of course, the music featured in the movie, the Peter Sellers and Ringo film movie Magic Christian, which is I've always had a special love for, even though it's kind of just lots of sketches tagged together, isn't it? Really, it's quite good fun with people like Spider Milligan and John Cleese and cropping up. But it's funny in it. And Peter Sellers, I'm a huge Peter Sellers fan. I love everything that he ever did. But there's a certain sort of you know you know attachment I have to that movie and playing Sir Guy Grand, Grand Guy. Anyway, this has got some good Badfinger tracks. I won't go on about all the tracks now for time, but you'll know them. So you've got all the Badfinger albums. You've got this one, and they're nice. I'll just show you. They're not exactly as they were, because this was a gatefold. Because this originally had, didn't it? They've got booklets in them all too. There's a little booklet in here if I can get it out. Here we are. Originally, the album was this lady, full like that, wasn't it? That's how the album used to. You bought the album like that, and used to open up like that, didn't you? But they all got little booklets in there. Actually, they're nicely produced. They're little digipacks, and you got all the. Now these discs have only been played once. As I bought this set new, and it came out in 2010. So I put them on once. I transferred them onto my iTunes. So they're going to be in good nick, and they're all. I won't say them all, but they're all. on the Apple, or that wonderful Apple Records label, isn't it? I prefer it when it's on a vinyl album, I must say, but it's still nice to see a reproduction of it. I used to think this was magical, buying all these Apple albums, as I say. But yeah, they've only been played once, so they're all in good nick. It'd be shame. It'd be nice if they'd had them in some sort of protective thing, wouldn't it? They just go in the cards. I mean, this set is not the best, to be honest with you. It's got this flimsy box as well. I mean, it's the box is in quite good condition, really, considering it does. It's got a few wear marks on it, but overall, it's in pretty good nick. I've seen some worse ones. There's a bit of a crease there, but otherwise, it's pretty good. But these are going for like anything between just under £200 to up to £400 to a mint copy, a new copy. But so yeah, continuing. Yes, you got all the Apple albums. You got straight up. This was the one that was this the one Without You was on. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and they're all great. You've listened to all these, and they're just amazing. I remember loving Badfinger at the time, thinking these are great. These are a great band. They're a really great band, and this was the last one they did, wasn't it? Yeah. And then we got Mary Hopkin, Postcard. Both Mary Hopkins albums. They haven't got the compilation albums here because she did those were the days. That was a compilation. That was a best of, wasn't it, so to speak? So they're not on here, and it's not a complete collection because you've got a few omissions. There's no Phil Spector's Christmas album, and that's probably because that's been licensed on. Originally, it was on a different label back in the early '60s, wasn't it? And it's been cropped up on various different record labels. That one hasn't it? So they probably couldn't get licensed for that. But it was nice to see that on Apple Records. So I've got a copy of that. I'm sure you have. And there's no Lon and Derek Van Eaton. I was talking about Lon Van Eaton. We just saw we talk about George Harrison, that great song "I'll Still Love You," on here. The preceding the previous visit to the Mermaid Tavern. Talk about him playing on Ringo's version of George's "I'll Still Love You." But that album, Brother, that Lon and Derek Van Eaton did is really good. Have you heard it? That's not on here. I mean, I'm assuming copyright issues, but that doesn't turn up on here. The Elephant's Memory album, 1972. Did John produce that? I know he was very much involved in getting them to sign, but it's a really good album. What else is on here? The Ravi Shankar live double disc Apple album. That's not on here. I think, and of course, it goes without saying that the George and John and Yoko Apple prefix stuff isn't on here. They're Sapcore albums, so to speak. Of course, this is a UK stuff. I think this set was just done in Europe only. It was never done in America. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it was ever. So this is a UK Europe only release. Okay, so yeah, we've got Jackie Lomax. This is a cool album. I really like this. Of course, I think, do you know, sometimes when you look at you don't think you need glasses. I've been all right for all my years so far, but sometimes I think, oh, goodness me. Sour Milk Sea, of course, is the famous one here that George wrote. It's the Jackie Lomax, who they'd known since their early days. He used to be in the band The Undertakers, didn't he? He died a few years back. He passed away, bless him. Jackie Lomax, yay, Jackie. Ooh, running low on spirits. Running low on spirit generally, I tell you. Not a very nice time of year, this, is it? January. And then this was, I think, I've heard it said before, the Modern Jazz Quartet. Of course, the only another criticism I have of this, other than that the box is really flimsy, I'll talk about the box again in a minute, was that they doubled up some of these. So they've doubled up the Modern Jazz Quartet albums, Under the Jasmine Tree in Space, made a digipack of them both, and they're all on one album, so there's not two discs, they're all on one album. And of course they're nicely done because they've all, as I say, they've all got booklets with them. They've all got booklets with them. This has got a booklet. I can't even get it out. But most of these have got little booklets with them, so they've been nicely done. Little digipacks. But yeah, it would be nice if they had replicas of the exact albums and done these individually. It's another slight gripe. We've got the two Billy Preston albums, which are really good, aren't they? Particularly this one that George produced. George produced both of them, didn't he? Yeah, Billy Preston, bless him, really good. I think for a lot of people, myself included, this was my first kind of introduction to Indian music, the Radhakrishna Temple. Yeah, this is neat, and it's got a booklet as well. I'm not going to get them all out. And then, have you heard these? The Whale and Celtic Requiem. They're really surprising. Check them out. You have to be in the right mood. Maybe get the right vibe. Get the right vibe, man. They're really neat. I particularly like Celtic Requiem. Maybe it appeals to the sort of goth in me a bit. I've always liked it. I've always been a bit of a goth. And these are neat. They really are. And but not for everyone's taste. But again, these are done on they put the two of them together, on just one disc, But it would have been nice to have had replicas of the original two albums, As I said before, in the 90s, most of these were put out. I think new copies of both of these, because they were going for quite a bit of money. I bought all these in the late 78, 79, 80. A lot of them. There's one or two I bought, maybe 20 years ago. But I've got a pretty much complete collection of all the ones that were put out rather than not put out, because there's, as you know, there was things, a lot of gaps in the Sapcore 1, Sapcore 2, Sapcore 3, a lot of and Apple, lots of things that didn't come out that were supposed to come out for various reasons. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that, shall we, at some future point at the tavern. Get my vinyl records out, anyway. James Taylor, a lot of people say this. He was a real discovery, wasn't he? Peter Asher, Jane's brother, Peter and Gordon, of course. Please lock me away. And if you've watched any content at the Mermaid that we've done here, that I've done at the Mermaid, and also with my mate Mark in the early days of this channel when we went, there's a video we did of Wimpole Street where we visited the Ashers' home. Check that out. And Mark is keeping. I can't resist it. It's the entertainer in me, bursting into song every minute. I know. You probably listen if you listen to my. If you were here at the previous visit at the tavern when I was talking about George's unreleased song, or "I Still Love You," there was some terrible singing in that, wasn't there? Oh my goodness me! I've gone back and looked at it. I think that's shocking. Sorry, but thank you for watching. Doris Troy, and by the way, this is a really nice Caroline on My Mind. It's got good vibes to it. I really like this album a lot. And James Taylor became, like Badfinger, one of their most successful artists afterwards. He could have stayed with them. It hadn't been all the lots of shit was going on, wasn't it, with Alan Klein and coming in and all money going out, all the stuff. It was troubled, wasn't it? Apple Records, troubled. So he could have stuck with them, made them a lot more money, but no, it was all going. Doris Troy, it's a lovely album. Really lovely album. Again, George was, though Doris Troy produced this, George was quite involved with this, quite heavily involved with this. Anyway, then after this, we've got the Come and Get It, the Best of Apple Records, which is a compilation. It's the singles, So it's a lot of the as I say, it does kind of make up for the fact that we've not got, we've not got some of the other albums on here. But it's all the singles that came out that were nothing to. It's even got The King of Pho. Brute Force, the famous unreleased Apple single. Was it Apple 8? I'd be wrong on that. I used to know all these prefixes. so much of a record collector I was, which is worth a lot of money. Never came out. You know why? You know the story about the here comes the fire king. But yeah, it's got all these single tracks. Thingamy Bob, the Black Knight Mills band, which Paul, of course, wrote, didn't he? And the Saturday night special, the Sundown Playboys, God Save Us, and yeah, it's got sweet music by Lon and Derek Van Eaton. So, and of course, Give Peace a Chance, Hot Chocolate Band, and Golden Slumbers Carry That Weight. So yeah, this is a nice little set. It's again, it's just one disc, but it's nicely produced. Yeah, and finally, you've got this kind of outtakes album. Really interesting. I won't go into all the tracks on here, but it's an outtakes CD, and it goes to two. This is a double, the only double of the set. So the only time we see the old half. Yeah, and this has got kind of some really good outtakes of Badfinger, and also Mary Hopkin and Jackie Lomax. That is really good, actually. It's probably in some ways worth getting the set just for this, you know. Anyway, so you've got the idea, haven't you? This is this box, as I say, very flimsy. They could have put it out in a nice sort of. They've tried to copy a wooden apple crate, but they could have put it out in a box that, if not wood, but something like it, and maybe done a replica of of that Apple Records box set. Have you seen the Apple Records box set? There was it intrigued me years ago because I saw it in a book about 1980 of showing Beatles memorabilia, and it was in there. It's got all the little dividers, isn't it? You know, I'll put a little picture of it on the screen. It could have done a nice. Do you know what I'd hope for? I hope I've got enough money to afford it at the time. It would be a bit niche, but for all these albums to come out and on vinyl again, but in a nice box set in wood, copied from that original one I'm talking about, the one picture of, and to come out, probably won't be able to afford it. How much would it go for? How much would you pay for it? Would you buy it? I mean, I would, but I suppose there's a big niche collector's market now, isn't there? I mean, I know it's John Lennon, but of course the people that paid for the Mind Games Cube, you know that. So there is definitely a market out there. People would probably buy this. Be a limited edition, and rocket up in value, just like the Beatles in mono vinyl box has rocketed up in value, hasn't it? Oh, I wish I'd bought one of those. I bought the CD copy when that came out, and I wish I'd bought the vinyl copy. Mind you, I'd have probably sold it by now. I know. Oh goodness me! The I've got enough nice stuff still, but there's a lot of really expensive things that are going for, that I've sold over the years. Anyway, you don't want to know that. So bless you for indulging me here, and is saying this. But yeah, bless you. Will I see you again? I sincerely hope so.